Hello everyone, I am Jenny McNess. I've introduced myself on my blog, so please have a look there if you want to know more about me. I'd like to start with a couple of questions, and this is the first one. Which comes first, theory or practice? Do you learn about the theory first and then go and teach, or do you get on with your teaching and then inform it with theory? And the second question is about technology and pedagogy. Which is most important to you? If you were to create a Wordle of your most recent blog posts or of the tags of your posts or other writing you have done, this is a Wordle of my blog post tags, what would it tell you? So let's start thinking about learning theories. Thank you to the POTSA team for inviting me to make this presentation, but it did cause me to think about which theories I should talk about. After all, there are so many. You only have to look at Donald Clark's blog for an introduction to learning theorists and see what a great list he has there. I think the only thing I can do is share my own experiences and practice with you as a way of elucidating theory. So I'm going to talk to you about my personal experiences of instructivism, behaviourism, constructivism and connectivism, which Lisa and Jim also talk about, so be sure to watch their excellent video. And I'm also going to add a little about my experience with social learning theory and emergent learning, which have both informed my practice and I think are very relevant to online learning. So let's start with instructivism. This was what my university education was like, my university experience. My chemistry lectures were all like this. I only saw the back of the lecturer as he wrote on the board in writing that was scarcely legible, and I spent my time frantically trying to copy down every word. This is the fill the empty vessel model of teaching. Information is poured from the expert into the novice. But things have moved on, and instructivism does not need to be like this. Large lectures can be interactive, fun, and great learning experiences. See what Lisa and Jim have to say about it in their video, and listen to Eric Mazur's keynote presentation to the Alt-C conference this year. And for something completely different, watch John Boyer invite Aung San Suu Kyi into his lecture for examples of how to make lectures lively. What about behaviourism? Behaviourism originates from the work of Skinner on rats and Pavlov on dogs. Both tried to teach animals to behave in certain ways, in association with given rewards. This learning theory affected my practice when I was teaching primary school children. My question was, how much should I expect and encourage children to learn for its own sake, and how much should I use rewards? I always wanted to encourage intrinsic motivation, but I found that some children simply could not get going without being given that reward, that gold star. This has implications for higher education too, and particularly for assessment. So, for example, when you mark students' work, do you give a mark, a grade, or just a comment? Constructivism. When I finally became a teacher trainer, I was a science teacher, so constructivism, or more accurately social constructivism, was central to my teaching. A significant part of a science teacher's role is to challenge and break down students' misconceptions. Look at the two balls in the photo. The black one is heavy and the brown one is light. If I drop them from the same height at the same time, which one will reach the ground first and why? Our previous experience probably tells us that when dropped, heavy objects reach the ground faster than lighter ones. But this is a classic misconception. Students' heads are not empty when they come to us. Their ways of thinking are based on all their prior experience. As teachers, we need to first find out what they already think and then design learning experiences that will appropriately deconstruct and reconstruct their thinking. Designing these activities is not easy. Students' misconceptions are notoriously resistant to change. In the language of threshold concepts and transformative learning, this is known as troublesome knowledge. To master a concept, to truly understand it rather than just regurgitate it, students may need to be troubled. Social learning theory has also had a big influence on my practice, principally through the work of Etienne Wenger and his ideas about communities of practice. Subscribing to this theory means believing that all learning is ultimately social, even when we are working alone. That is, that we learn through joint enterprise and mutual engagement with others and a shared repertoire. Experts and novices learn with and from each other. Meaning is negotiated, and through this social interaction, we build our identities and learn about who we are. For me, learning about who I am is the ultimate goal of all my learning. Connectivism has been proposed as a new learning theory, but there has not yet been enough published research to validate this claim. But connectivism resonates strongly with my personal practice. It brings a new perspective. The theory posits that knowledge is distributed across a network of connections. Learning consists of constructing and navigating these networks and recognizing patterns of ideas. In a digital age of information overload, we need to be able to filter and select from vast quantities of information. We need to make the connections which will help us to do this by recognizing the value of diversity and connecting with a wide range of people and resources. We also need to be autonomous and manage our own learning, and we need to be open in spirit, freely sharing our knowledge and co-creating knowledge with others. The most recent influence on my practice has been emergent learning. You might have noticed through the slides that over the years I have become more interested in learning theories which encourage greater learner autonomy, negotiation, and openness. There is still a place in learning for all the theories I have discussed in this presentation, but in my own practice, I am interested in how learners can be empowered to take control of their own learning. This necessarily means that the outcomes will be unpredictable and emergent. It seems to me to be important in this fast-changing and uncertain world for students to feel more accepting of uncertainty, chaos, and troublesome knowledge. My current interest is in how we manage this learning and what factors we might need to consider when we design for emergent learning. So finally, here are some questions for you to consider this week. You might like to discuss these in the POTCERT site. They're only suggestions, so please don't feel constrained by them. I'm looking forward to discussing these ideas with you and talking about these different learning theories. So thank you for listening.